F28. Don't know how to get my husband, M28, to take my current health issue seriously. TLR, I'm struggling with chronic UTIs and don't know how to explain to my husband I need him to help me resolve whatever is causing this. For the past 2 years, I've been struggling with frequent UTIs. My husband and I were having sex for a year without condoms, since I was on birth control, and didn't have any issues. Then last January, I got my first UTI. I'd never had one before that. Since then, I've gotten a UTI essentially every other month. I have tried everything. I was even on a 6-month round of antibiotics to prevent this, but I finished those about a month ago, was feeling confident. We had sex without a condom and well, here we are. I'm losing my mind. With this most recent infection, my husband thinks it's because he fingered me, so his solution is that we won't do that anymore. But at this point, I don't want to have sex, and I especially don't want to have just straight P and V penetration sex. I can't orgasm from only penetration, and I know he didn't mean it maliciously, but it makes me feel a little weird that his solution was something that ensures he still gets off. My husband has been super sweet during all this, driving me to urgent care, to get my prescriptions, loading up on cranberry juice while I'm curled up in a ball on the couch. But I found out yesterday he's never had an STI test once since we started dating or talked to his doctor about this issue. I have an STI test every time I meet with my primary doctor, and it's come back clean every time, but still. I feel like he's treating this as an issue that is all my fault, and that he's not playing any part in it. But I've had 3 sexual partners before him and never had an issue like this. How do I get him to start taking this seriously? I don't want to sound like I'm blaming him, but I do need his help figuring out what is going on. These infections are agonizing, and altogether, I've taken a month off of work for doctor appointments and recovery times. I'm worried my bosses will hold that against me in terms of job performance. These past 2 years have really been awful, and my mental health has tanked because of this. We want kids, but honestly, I don't know how that will be possible if every time we have sex without a condom I get a debilitating infection. How do I approach this with him? How is his hygiene? Often when this subject comes up there is a connection to the hygiene of the male involved. Improper handwashing, no handwashing, doesn't shower, etc. I imagine this is something you've considered. I can't imagine you haven't, but I wanted to bring it up since it isn't mentioned in your post. Have either of your doctors recommended treating your husband with antibiotics? He could be carrying the bacteria and be asymptomatic. He needs to thoroughly clean his junk. Tell him to clean that thing like he was preparing to give himself a blowjob. I'd bet it's insufficient dick hygiene. Have you tried just using condoms again to see if the issue goes away? Get D-mannose powder and mix it with water. Drink that before sex. I 33F still want to leave husband 33M after a good session with a marriage counselor. I 33F and my husband 33M had our first marriage counseling session a week ago and made a commitment with our counselor that we would give her 12 weeks to sort out our issues. I was happy during the appointment and overall positive and optimistic about it because my husband was actually putting forth an effort to make things work and meeting me halfway on small things that would normally be an argument in our day-to-day lives. A week prior to our appointment we had several explosive arguments about him putting his needs and wants over my needs. When I threatened divorce we ended up agreeing on trialing marriage counseling, and he spent the days leading up to our appointment being extremely helpful, caring and engaged in our relationship. Not long after the appointment my husband reverted back to his usual habits. Ignoring me because he's not in the mood to hang out. Not helping me around the house. Not cleaning up after himself. Not helping me with the kids when I need it, etc. Finally, the last straw was he had a guest over and everything was fine at first, but they were drinking and my husband just kept going and going. He ended up getting so drunk that he threw up and couldn't help me the rest of the day. He doesn't drink often, but when he does, he doesn't know when to stop. I've told him I think he has a problem with alcohol because he's irresponsible with it. The reason I was so pissed on this particular day though, was because he promised he would watch the kids after his guest left our house, because I had an important test that counts for 1/4 of my total grade. I'm now behind, my grade is suffering, and I spent the whole fucking day watching the kids and cleaning up after everyone, no time to do my own shit. I blew up and told him if he's going to use one counseling session as an excuse to go back to his usual bullshit then I'm not committing to 12 weeks. He clearly can't commit to me for 12 weeks outside of the counseling sessions, so why should I put in more than my 50% in? Am I overreacting to back out after this? Should I wait and hopefully it gets better with more counseling? I'm honestly starting to think he's truly selfish and doesn't give a shit about how I feel. He says he's sorry, he acts like he's sad about it. But I don't believe him at all. Maybe I'm just an old cynic, but do you think he did TGAT on purpose so you missed the test? 12 weeks isn't too long, but there's nothing that says you can't be exploring other avenues at the same time, like researching lawyers. It is okay if you are just done. I am a couples therapist and quite frankly, it took years for the relationship to get into bad shape, where it has been for an extended period of time. Significant and meaningful change in couples therapy takes at least 6 months, and often much longer than that. You are just starting out. One session, which means that 99% of the time the old behaviors are still going to be the main thing that happens. 12 weeks, is an extremely optimistic forecast for meaningful change. It is, as I noted, unreasonable to expect things to be great after one session and then throw in the towel immediately when they are not. Find a lawyer while you're finishing your counseling sessions. He got drunk on purpose. If you can't finish school, you can't leave. That's his thought process here. He is trying to keep you exactly where you are while he does whatever the hell he wants. My 21 female husband, 23 male, just nonchalantly dropped a bomb and rushed off to work. We were talking and he mentioned money and how he's short and he spent a lot this week. He says he spent like $500 on mobile game stuff because he was sad. Sad because I've been distancing myself from him and denying him physical touch because I found out he was lying and cheated and I need space. And then he rushed off and left for work without talking to me about it. I was gonna try to work with him, but this? I am not so sure. I've been asking him to go to therapy and now he has to go, because that is serious. Edit. No, I am not choosing to stay with him. I have nowhere else to go and no funds, friends or family, so I am stuck with him. I am not forgiving him either. I work and study full-time on minimum wage, but the stress he's causing me is making me unable to focus on class or work. I'm doing a work-study till I graduate, so I can't move far from my school. I can hardly sleep or eat. I can't leave ATM because I don't have enough savings. Rent is through the roof here, and I can't even afford a room to rent. If I leave I am homeless, and I don't know what to do. The guilt and shame of a divorce would be too much for me to bear, so to be honest I'd rather die. He does this shit and acts like everything's okay and then calls me crazy for pointing out evidence, so nobody would believe me. His family is my only family, so if I leave I lose everything. I'm so emotionally attached to him. I've been trying to keep my distance from him, but he keeps getting his way and cuddling me even though I am repulsed by him right now. I am not perfect either, but at least I'm going to therapy. Honestly, I told him if he wanted to see other people, fine, but we have to be in an open relationship and tell each other everything, but he declined, and prefers to lie to me. I am so done with him. The part I am struggling with the most is accepting this is over and getting over him. I don't know how to get through this when he is constantly lying to my face and I keep finding more things. Do I wait and keep finding things out? I can't keep acting like everything's okay. Honestly, I don't have the energy for this and I am considering ending myself, but I am too scared to. Cheating, lying and being irresponsible, dropping bombs when needing to run out the door. What you trying to work for exactly? Get tested for STIs. He lies and cheats and then spends $500 to cheer himself up because you wouldn't have sex with him after all the lying and cheating? Maybe let this one go and find yourself an actual partner. Is this really how you want to spend your 20s? Why did you marry this loser? Cut your losses. You are younger than like 98% of wives out there. You'll find someone better matched real quick. He cheats and lies and spends $500 on mobile games. Drop him, you don't need a son. I, 33M, walked in on my wife, 30F, with another man. Cheating? How do you move past it? I came home from work earlier than expected one morning. I worked night shift, to find another man in our bedroom. She was fully clothed and the guy was shirtless. She stated nothing had happened and this was the first time she had ever had someone over the house while I was gone and that he was a friend, but come on, let's be realistic here. I had no idea who this man was, nor has my wife ever mentioned any guy friends. And why the hell would you have a friend over at 3 a.m.? I wanted to speak to this guy one-on-one, but she was making it clear that wasn't going to happen. I've already caught her in lies in this story and I'm pretty positive I won't get the truth. I barely got an explanation on this situation. All I really got was that she was sorry and she made a mistake. We haven't spoken much on the subject in weeks. Rather something did or didn't happen or was going to happen. Regardless, my trust is broken. My wife has never given me an indication that she was cheating in the entire almost decade we've been together. I fully trusted this woman. She always leaves her phone in the open, never hides it, never really even on it. She's even many times given me her phone to use or look stuff up on. She never went out much, if she did it would be midday with girlfriends. Overall, I never saw anything for red flags. This was either something recent or she's been damn good at hiding it. So at this point obviously everything is up in the air. Divorce is a highly likely option. But for some stupid reason unknown to me, I find myself considering working this out. With her stating she's considering it as well. But I don't even know how. Is that something you can even get past? Because I honestly feel like in this moment I won't be able to trust her again. What about future relationships? If we were to separate, I feel like my future relationships would be affected. I'd really like to hear from those who've stayed with their significant other after cheating and how you work through those issues. But any advice is greatly appreciated. Let me get this straight. Your kids are in the house, it's 3 a.m. You get home early from work and you find a guy in your bedroom with your wife with his shirt off and you're wondering if they are having sex? I mean, you're joking, right? She has a second phone you don't know about, buddy. What do you have to work out? She is cheating on you, at the very least emotionally. She also isn't willing to come clean. I'd really like to hear from those who've stayed with their significant other after cheating and how you work through those issues. But any advice is greatly appreciated. Well, I didn't do that. What I did was divorce my cheating ex-wife and then, after dealing with a man-hating family courts judge for a year, finally built enough of a case to get full custody of my daughter, which I did. No explanation, no answers, no goddamn idea. Nothing. There's no prospect of making good on a bad situation when nothing is known, and the simple fact this hasn't been dealt with remains the biggest impediment to any future after this. It's a laughable prospect, really. She hasn't owned her actions, only that it was a mistake.